Hey guys, it's Quills. I have been a digital artist for a long time, and one of the things that I wanted to focus on improving lately is my rendering. You see other artists talk about it and discuss their process, so I thought it would be a really good practice to showcase the things that I've learned from the tutorials I've watched and ramble on about things that I wanted to note and improve on down the line. Now, my old rendering process, if I had to explain it, was very simple, yet painful, because I used as few layers as possible because I thought I honestly couldn't keep track of too many, and rendering took forever because I wouldn't understand how to utilize my first layers, which meant that I ended up having to push everything quote-unquote difficult to the end, which meant that by the time I was ready to render, I was left fixing so many things instead of just cleaning up what was already there. So that was something I wanted to focus and fix on for this piece. I forgot to record the sketch and shadow layer, but I'll show them here. I tried to do my best to keep them faithful to the steps that I saw, which included a sketch layer, silhouette, base, shadow layer, and side elements layer. I tried to keep the background and foreground elements as simple as I could so that I can focus on the main character, Madoka. She is a magical girl in one of my favorite childhood animes, which, by the way, was very heavy for a 9-year-old to watch. I don't think I was supposed to watch it when I was that young, but you know, what did I know? I used a dark red for sketching so that I could use that element for the shadows later on, since it fits a color scheme and colors are still kind of difficult for me, so I wanted to make sure I simplified everything as much as possible. One of the things that I learned was the graying of silhouettes when artists basically block in a character's form in gray to use clipping and coloring masks on top of that. This allows you to block colors in while also keeping in the boundary of that form. I didn't do this before, and that's probably why a lot of my rendering took forever, because I would have to put colors down here and there, and then I would have to go back and erase the colors outside of the boundaries like all of the time, which by the way, took forever. Please don't do that. Looking at all of these tutorials, it seems like everyone loves this soft round brush, which I kind of understand now. I think majority of art programs already have this, but it's really helpful for layering colors and light blending. I still do love texture brushes, but I feel like for this piece I decided to save it for the end so that the rendering stays faithful to the tutorials. I played around with multiple clipping masks just to fix some of the colors, and before I feel like I used to block colors and lighting by airbrushing and overlaying low opacity layers on top of my base colors, which really much muddled the values and saturation of my colors, so alternatively I adjusted the colors through color filters instead. I knew Krita already had these features, but it was kind of fun to finally get to know them. I was finally satisfied with the colors and lighting picked out, which is more than what I could say from my past paintings. From what I understood, the point of rendering is to create the form of each shape with the colors already present. This meant that the base colors and the shadow/lighting layers were crucial so that you don't waste time figuring out new colors on the spot, which was also one of the reasons that rendering took a while for me, because I remember how frustrating it is having to figure out which colors go where like every single 2 minutes. I also tried to use more layers than I usually would so that I could practice that organization and control of detail that other artists had with their pieces, plus Krita really made it easy with their grouping layers feature. I wanted to add this like dramatic yellow lighting because I wanted a color contrast now that the colors weren't something that I was upset about, and looking back, I think Madoka was actually a really good practice model as her color palette really made it easy to harmonize shadows and lights with purples and pinks and yellows. If you guys noticed, I kept getting stuck on the mouth, and I definitely reverted back a bit to my old habit of just quote-unquote saving it for later, so next time I will definitely make sure that I don't leave it until the end and deal with specific body features for the sketching layer. I had to unlearn the idea that colors kind of had to make sense, because coloring the chest area with gray didn't quite make sense to me at the time, but I know that you just need to trust the process because it'll all work out as long as you got the form down right now. And looking back, the chest definitely still looks like a chest, even though at the time I seriously doubted it because that was a weird color to use. I'm proud of how the ruffles came out with the simplified approach, because I knew if this were the old me, I'd be drawing those ruffles one by one. My other old habit that I had to unlearn was zooming in too much, since keeping my painting far enough away made me focus less on the details and focus more on the painting as a whole, which usually doesn't involve highly detailed ruffles since this was a whole character, not just a close-up. But I will say some of the ruffles did kind of look like teeth to me, so that was kind of weird. I didn't notice, because I was in the zone too much, that I almost forgot a detail on her dress, so I still need to remember to check in with my references here and there. I could just tell I was having a bit too much fun with my silly little podcast and just turning off my brain off for the rendering, which was definitely really fascinating. I understand the hype now. I ended up ditching the soft round brush for extra details in her hair so that it adds some strand-like textures. Next time I want to learn how to add a little bit more texture, because I tried at the end, but my love of little textures needs to be fulfilled somehow, so I'll definitely try and make that work in the future. I think looking back, the bow kind of looks flat, so I will work on that more with some real life references. I forget that with anime references, I think it's always good to have a real life counterpart to reference too, so next time I'll also look into some cosplays of how the bows kind of sit on the dress like that. Mouths are still hard for me, so I'll need to make sure that that's tackled by the sketching phase so that I didn't have to keep going back and forth as you guys saw a lot. And petals are also really hard for me, so I'll need to make sure that I look up references for those too. I kind of just added them there without thinking because I wanted something in the foreground, but I'll put more thought into it next time, I promise. Overall, I am really proud on what I worked on, and I'm really happy that my process has definitely gotten better. From the sketch to shadow phase, that was about 2 hours, but I'm gonna be honest, it kind of took forever for me to figure out the pose, so maybe I was kind of happy that I forgot to record that. And the rendering itself that you guys are watching the speed paint of right now was about 3 hours and 20 minutes. Which is a lot more than I've spent on other pieces, but I also had to take a break in between, and this was done over the course of 2 days, so I think that break actually helped me kind of just like make sure that my brain wasn't going all mushy like I would when I would spend like 8 hours on a drawing in one sitting, which also don't do that. I hope this was entertaining for you guys and you guys learned some things or just wanted to watch me improve, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time when I practice more rendering because I know I'm definitely going to do this in the future. Bye!